Welcome back, mamas. Y'all, today we are going to get even deeper into authenticity, how you tap into that, what it might look like, the parallels I'm seeing in the world today, which may get a little deep and may shock you, but I believe it's all related to authenticity and what you want for yourself. And I believe it will be so freeing. So let's get to it. Do you wish you had control of your days, that you had a rhythm, but instead feel overwhelmed, scattered, and like there's never enough time? You're in the right place. I'm Danielle, a recovering workaholic, wife, and stay-at-home mom of 2 girls. I've learned how to reclaim my time and find purpose and freedom so I can be present with my kids and feel like myself again. Here, we embrace where we are, but we don't stay there. So if you're ready to trade the chaos for clarity, the guilt for grace, and the endless to-do list for aligned flow, grab the kiddos a snack and toss in that laundry because I know you're multitasking, and let's do this because your time, your purpose, and you matter. Okay, mamas, I want to get more into authenticity because on Tuesday we did talk about this topic. We talked about how authenticity is going to set you free and kind of the 3 steps that you can do to get to that point. And I really want to dive a little deeper into this because of what I've been seeing in the world and what I know you have been seeing in the world and where that may be leading you and how to kind of reframe how you are thinking about your life and how this time that we're in, this political, very volatile, divisive time can feel so crippling for mothers in particular, for everyone, right? But for mothers in particular, because we are raising these humans, we have brought these kids into this world and we are expected to be a role model for them. So we want to be like on the right side of this, right? But we also feel almost, at least I know I did at the time, and I'm like rewinding back to like COVID days because this is when I was in my like deepest depression with the little kids and, really trying to figure out why I was so unsettled, why I was so unhappy with where I was. And COVID, happened right on top of that. And then all of this divisiveness. And I remember feeling so absolutely alone and just so helpless. I was just so defeated. I was so defeated. And I want to speak to any of you mothers right now that may be in that same place where I was then. Because number one, I want you to know that you are not alone. Even though it may feel like you are alone in your motherhood journey, you are alone in all of your opinions and your feelings and everything that you might be thinking about what is going on in this world, but you aren't. You are not alone, number one. And number two, you can get through this. You can and you will get through this, okay? And I just want to give you the opportunity and like I'm going to use what's going on as kind of because I saw all of these parallels between what is going on in the political world in the just I'm not even call it the political world anymore. It's literally everywhere right now and what is going on in your motherhood journey and how I can see these parallels and how they relate and how you may be able to navigate this for yourself using authenticity as the key to unlock that freedom that you may be wanting and that fulfilled feeling and just this to give you a peace that maybe you never thought would be possible again, right? I know that's what I thought, and I'm telling you it's a lie, right? So I'm going to start with a quote. This quote is from Janet Coleman, and it says, "To solve the human equation, we need to add love, subtract hate, multiply good, and divide between truth and error." Okay, I loved that quote. I was like, oh, I'm definitely using that because it's so true. To solve the human equation, we need to add love, right? We need to add love. Love is the thing that we need right now because you may be sitting there feeling, right? Like I know I was a while back, and I know I would sometimes I will creep back into that place. And then I just have to remember, like, no, Danielle, we just need to love, right? We don't need to pick a side, right? Like you may lean more this way or more that way, but if you're anything like me, you tend to be able to see like what people on both sides are saying or the reasons that they're saying these things, right? Like the reasons that they have their viewpoints, the reasons that they have. Now, a lot of the reasons we have the viewpoints we do are because of what we watch, what we intake. We talked about guarding your heart a few weeks ago, and that is so crucial in these times because we can get poisoned with lies that people may not even really recognize they're spreading, right? Lies are like, we'll call it the, what is it, divide between truth and error. The error, right? The actual truth lies somewhere, right? But then people take a partial part of that and they spin it in any direction that they want. I remember when I was in sales and I was in media sales, okay? And so like I was in television, I was in radio, and I was in advertising sales. And so we had numbers that we would look at, right? Numbers don't lie, right? Numbers are numbers. However, you could take those numbers and you could spin them in any direction that you wanted based on the story you wanted to tell. They were numbers, they were truth, right? Numbers are truth, they do not lie. However, depending on the agenda, you could take those numbers and spin them, tell a story around them in any way that you wanted so that your station or your thing that you were selling would appear to be the best, right? I saw it happen all of the time. I saw it. I saw it from coworkers. I saw it from, people that I was going up against. I saw it all of the time. Now, I would like use the truth as the truth. I did not like to do that. That's not the way I like to sell. I did not do that because literally you can take these numbers, this truth, supposedly, and spin it any way you want to. And that is what happens in the media. The media do not think that they do not have an agenda, right? Because they do, right? They have an agenda. And I'm going to turn this and liken it to motherhood because a lot of the things that you see out there in the world, posted on Instagram, posted on Facebook, posted wherever you spend your time, TikTok, whatever, or even when you see a mom at pickup at preschool or at the park or whatever, chances are you are seeing the version of them that they want you to see. You are not seeing the reality, right? You are not seeing the behind the scenes. I know we've all seen someone who like really shows you, like if they're doing like showing their pictures of their family or whatever, and they've got this really sweet, amazing picture. And then you say, they say, this is the sweet, amazing picture. And people are commenting, whatever. And they're like, this is what it looked like 2 minutes before that. And like one of them is pulling the other one's hair and somebody's crying and somebody's throwing something, someone's falling on the ground. Like it is complete and total chaos right 2 minutes before that. But those sweet seconds, they got a couple sweet seconds that fit the agenda that they were trying to do, which is take a picture, a family picture. Like, let's show a family picture of our family actually looking presentable and loving and all the things that we want it to look like, instead of showing the actual picture of what the family looked like that day, right? Which was, it was great some moments, but that's not how life is. Life isn't great in all moments. And when we only look at one thing or one way or one idea or one agenda or whatever the case is, one vacation that someone has taken, one trip, one moment in time, we aren't seeing the full picture. We are not seeing the actual truth. And so I believe this is why we are so divided. I believe that this is one of the reasons we are so unhappy as mothers, because we are believing that everyone else has it all together but us. We are believing that everyone else knows how to do all of this but us. Right? We are believing the lie that we have to be the stay-at-home mom that does all the stay-at-home mom things, right? They do the PTA, they do, the volunteering at the school. They do all of the things that this stay-at-home mom does in this like, their house is amazing, their kids are amazing, everything is amazing, their life is perfect. They're doing all of the things, but you are sitting there and you're unhappy and you're overwhelmed and you're feeling lost and you're feeling like, I know I want more for myself, but I don't think that's what I'm supposed to have. I wanted to stay at home. And so I'm supposed to do all of those stay at home things. I am supposed to not have someone come clean my house. And I am supposed to, I'm supposed to clean my house myself. And I am supposed to, figure out a way to get all of the laundry done, cook our meals every night, take the kids here, there, and the other place, do all of the things, take all of the trips, be all of these things that, it looks like everyone else is being, when in reality, people are good at certain things. People are good, people have help that you don't see. People are different. And you may be sitting there feeling so alone and almost guilty and shameful for the feelings that you're having because this is the life you want. Right? This is what you chose, but you are feeling like you are missing something, that something is not fully there. And I know I felt that to my core and I didn't understand it. I didn't understand how to fix it. Right. And so I did all of the things. I volunteered for the PTA. I was, one of the executive members or whatever, like in charge of communications for the PTA. And I was volunteering at the preschool and I was doing all of these things that I thought would be great. I was helping at the church. I was involved in so many things that I thought would bring me this joy that I was missing, that I thought would fulfill what I needed it to. But in reality, I was missing something. I was missing a piece of me, right? I was missing that. And what we need to do, going back to the quote, right, is to love ourselves enough to add love, right? To love all those other moms that are out there that can do that, right? Like if that's what they want to do, that is not necessarily what is right for everyone, for every family, right? Subtract hate. Right? Do not hate on anyone else that has a different viewpoint than you, that has a different lifestyle than you. Do not hate on the moms that do not stay at home and go to work. Like we don't hate on everyone is different. Our circumstances are different. The way that we parent is different. Do not hate. Multiply good, right? We need to have more good in this world. What do you bring? Like if you're sitting there wanting more for yourselves, let's dig into that, right? Let's figure out what that looks like for you. Let's not just go and just jump into all of these things that you think might fill some void or give you that more that you're looking for. Let's get clear. Let's get still. Let's figure it out for you. Do the work to get clear on what you want and let's multiply that because that is what you're meant for, right? What you're meant for. Oh, and divide between truth or error. I honestly believe that you are divinely made to want that more. Like whatever that is for you, if you are yearning for it, it is something that is divine and that is your truth, right? And so do not buy into the lies that you have to conform or that motherhood has to look a certain way because it's going to look different for every single person, right? For every single person. This is a perfect time to read this Bible quote, which is Ephesians 1, verse 18, that says, I pray that the eyes of your heart may be enlightened in order that you may know the hope to which he has called you. I do. I pray the eyes of your heart may be enlightened so that you can know the hope that he has called you towards. He has called you to be more, right? And so let's lean into that. Let's figure out what that looks like for you. right? I do these prioritization clarity calls, which you can schedule, that I will help you walk through this for yourself, right? I want to bring this back to authenticity, right? You know authentically who you are. When we are being inauthentic to ourselves, when we are not living our truth, and living our truth can, that can like send up some red flags of what that means right now, right? But when you innately know, when you are getting still and getting clear and you feel called to something bigger, to something more, to something that is outside of just being a mother, right? That this is something that is authentic to you. For me, it was like this stirring. It was like this stirring where I was unsettled. I did not know what was going on, and I knew I was being called to more, and I didn't know what that meant, what that looked like, and I didn't take the time to get still and get clear. And that's where everything fell apart, right? That's where everything fell apart. And it wasn't until I turned to God and started to rely on Him and started to turn to Him and say, okay, listen, I can't do this on my own. I don't understand what's going on, but I'm trying to fix it on my own. And this is not going well, right? It is not going well. And so I need your help. And it was not until I was being truly authentic to who I was in that moment, right? Who I was in that moment, because things change. When you become a mom, like everything changes, right? Like things that used to be important to you aren't important to you anymore. Things that used to not be important to you are all of a sudden important to you. And it is important, right, for us to be a role model for our children as well. And so we don't want our children to sit there and see us unhappy and unsettled. And we don't want to be stifling our emotions. We don't want to be closed in and pushing our emotions down, our feelings down. We don't want to be less than we know that we were meant to be, just because that's the box that we feel like we're fitting into right now. Right. And, I was really kind of sensing this like alignment with how I'm feeling right now in the world, because right now in this world, there are people, and I don't even know if there's a lot of people, but there are people who are dividing us, right? Like there are people who are very outspoken about the way that we should behave, about the way that we should think, about the way that we should be voting, be, leaning, be whatever. And they are very outspoken, right? But if you really think about it, the majority is not being like that, right? Like the majority of people are not being that divisive and not trying to pit one side against another. They may lean a certain way, they may agree with a lot or some of the things that people say, but that's not what we're seeing, because we're seeing these people who are loud. And so we are left to feel like we are alone. We are left to feel like we shouldn't speak up because it's going to be met with this like backlash or whatever. I have a feeling that there are a lot more people that actually feel like the way that I believe that we should be living right now, which is we should be loving. Like we should not be turning to pit one side against another. We should be looking to not a political figure or a side or whatever to, speak our allegiance to. We should be looking to God, to Christ, to who Jesus was, to speak our allegiance through that. And how did Jesus operate? He operated out of love, right? It didn't matter what your political affiliation was. It didn't matter what your, color was. It didn't matter what your gender was. It didn't matter what your anything was. Jesus operated out of love. He operated from a place of love. And that is how we should operate, right? We should operate from a place of love, not from a place of fear, from a place of authenticity, and not from a place of like trying to fit in, right? We should not be trying to fit in or fit into some mold that someone else thinks that we should be in order to be a good person or in order to be worthy of breathing the same air as someone else, right? Like this is become a place where it is a little bit dangerous, right? That is not where I want to go. I feel like we need to start operating as mothers, right? As role models for our children, the way that we want them to behave. And I believe that that is to lead with love. I have another quote here from John MacArthur that says, "It's not who they are, it's who you are that determines how you love your neighbor." Right? That is like the commandment, right? Like the commandment, it goes like Jesus said, "You shall love the Lord your God with all your heart and with all your soul and with all your mind. This is the greatest and first commandment. And the second is like it. You shall love your neighbor as yourself." Right? You should love your neighbor as yourself. And the reason that he says that isn't because our neighbor should be like us, right? It's because he knows our neighbor is going to be different, is going to have different views, is going to look different, is going to believe different things, is going to act differently. And we should love them no matter what, because, like John MacArthur says, it's who we are, not for who they are, right? It's because it's who we are. We are children of God, and that's what we are called to do. We are called to love. We are called to love no matter what. And so, no matter someone's political affiliation, no matter if they are the Pinterest mom or they work from home or they, go to work or they, however you think they parent, like we are called to love them, right? We are called to love one another and we are called to love them as we love ourselves, right? And are you loving yourself as well as you love your neighbor? That's another question we need to ask ourselves, because if we are loving God with all of our heart and our mind and our soul, who does God say you are? God says you are his child and you are worthy of love, right? You are worthy of love. And so you need to love yourself and love your neighbor, right? Because it's who you are. That's who you are, not because of who they are, but because that's who you are. And that's who we want to be. As moms, we want our children to love their neighbor. We want our children to love one another, to treat one another kindly, to not grow up, right, in this world where they see people hating one another, where they see people maybe in the same family that just because they can't agree on the same things politically, that they have to hate one another or that they have to act in such a way that is not the way that we would want to treat others. We would not want them to treat someone else the way that they might see us or someone else treating someone else. And so we need to start propagating what we want to see, and that is to love one another, to be authentic to who you are, no matter what that means, right? To maybe that doesn't necessarily mean speaking up, but what it does mean is to take a step in the direction of figuring out what it looks like for you to walk out what you know you're meant to walk out, right? To live authentically to who you know you are. And I can tell you from experience that when I am walking that walk versus stifling myself and, pushing things down and not leaning into who I know I am and what I believe is important to me and my family, I am unhappy and unsettled. And when I am walking towards where I want to go, who I know I am, and when I am acting in accordingly, then I feel so much peace and so much fulfillment. And even on the journey to get there, you will feel that versus sitting in a place where you're stuck and you feel alone. And I do not want that for you. And I want you to know that you can step into that person, that you are not alone and that you were meant for more and that you can do this. And guess what? I am also here to help you, right? I am here to help you. I have prioritization clarity calls that you can schedule where we will get so clear on what you want. We will get so clear on who you are and what is important to you at this moment of your life and your strengths and what you want to work towards. And I want that for you. So go to prioritizewithpurpose.com, /coaching, and sign up for a prioritization clarity call. And if you still have any questions, you can schedule a free discovery call with me where I will answer any of those. It'll be one-on-one with me, and just so that you know that this is the right next step for you. So I want you to live authentically. I want you to step into the best version of yourself, and I would love and be honored to help you do that. So until next week, y'all. I hope you enjoyed today's episode, Mama. If so, please leave a review on Apple Podcasts and then hit share and send this to a mom who needs this in her day. I'll meet you right back here next week. Keep smiling, y'all.